3, 4. Hi, I'm George Benson, and this is my club, the Breezin' Lounge. Welcome. I'm here with my friend Jody Fisher, and we're going to talk guitar and music. So stick around. Thank you for coming.
That was great, George. I'm here with my new friend, George Benson, and we're going to talk a little bit about his early days. George, when did you get started, and how old were you? Where were you?
Well, you know, I've always been into music, but when my mother met my stepfather, I was 7 years old, and he brought around records by Charlie Christian with the Benny Goodman Sextet and George Shearing, and the guitar into the house. First electric thing I ever saw was the guitar.
Wonderful.
And my hands were too small then, so my stepfather found a ukulele in a garbage can. And it was all broken up. He glued it back together, painted it, and taught me to play the first few chords. I began to relate immediately how they related to songs on the radio. So that was my beginning. And when I was 9, my hands finally got large enough, and we got us a nice little $14 guitar. And my career.
Well, that's great. You know, I started on ukulele too. I was about seven years old as well. You know, probably went through the same books. You know, played all the folk songs and all that sort of thing too. Or?
Well, actually, I didn't have any books. I never did. Yes, I shouldn't say that. I had one, and it came later in life. It came in my the 20th year. There was a book by Mickey Baker.
Oh, I remember that book well.
Mickey Baker, book number 1, you remember that?
Oh, sure, sure.
I learned all of the modern chords that were being used by the jazz giants.
Yes. Yeah.
And I felt connected. I felt that I had the beginnings of a jazz career.
Well, if you grew up listening to that kind of music right from the beginning. Now, were you trying to play jazz on the ukulele early on too?
No, really, in the early days, I was actually a guy who was in a neighborhood that featured blues, R&B, and occasionally you would get a great singer like Nat Cole would come on the radio, and I knew he was different. And I said, hey, I want to be like him.
Sure, sure.
So,
sure. Were you singing at that time too?
Mostly singer. That's what I was known as. Little Georgie Benson, the singer, who also played ukulele and guitar, but they were background instruments at the time.
Sure. Now, I seem to remember hearing stories about you playing on the street when you were very young. Is that true?
That's true. Immediately when my stepfather gave me that guitar with the ukulele that he found in the garbage can, I went out on street corners. Actually, it was my first day selling newspapers. I sold one newspaper in my whole life. Because right after that, a guy came to me and said, can you play that thing? I said, what do you mean? This thing here? This ukulele? And I jumped on a song, man. I forget what it was called. I think it was Bloodshot Eyes, you know. Happened to be a little R&B tune or a half blues thing.
Sure.
And when I looked around, a lot of people had crowded around, and my cousin happened to be there. He took off his baseball cap because he could see they were reaching in their pockets, and he passed it around, and they filled it up with 50 cents and quarters, you know, and dimes and nickels.
Oh.
And I said, boy, now this is living.
So you were playing for bread right from the very beginning.
Professional from day one.
Professional from day one. That's great. There's lots more. We'll be right back.